Let me ask you something honest. You woke up this morning. Maybe you slept 6 hours, maybe 8. And yet, there was this feeling, this hollow, barely there feeling that followed you from the pillow to the shower to the coffee machine. Not pain exactly, not sadness exactly, just emptiness. Like you're moving through your day on autopilot, like something that used to be lit inside of you has quietly gone dark. If you know that feeling, even a little bit, then what I'm about to share with you isn't just philosophy, it's a lifeline. It's called Ikigai, and it's been the secret behind some of the longest, most deeply satisfying lives ever recorded on this earth. Here is a truth that doesn't get said enough in the productivity seminars and the self-help bestsellers. The modern American life, with its promotions and milestones and carefully curated social media achievements, has been spectacularly successful at helping us build lives we don't actually want to be living. We are, right now, in the middle of what psychologists are calling a crisis of meaning, and it is hitting the 40 to 60 age group the hardest. You've done what you were supposed to do. You built the career, you raised the family, you hit the targets, and somewhere in the middle of hitting all those targets, you lost the thread, the reason, the thing that made mornings feel like gifts instead of obligations. This isn't weakness. This isn't failure. This is what happens when a culture teaches you how to succeed, but forgets to teach you why. The ancient Japanese didn't have this problem, not in the same way, and the reason, the elegant, almost embarrassingly simple reason, is a concept that has existed in the soul of Japanese culture for centuries. Ikigai. Iki, meaning life. Gai, meaning worth, value, result. Your reason for being, your reason to wake up. And here is the remarkable thing. In Okinawa, Japan, one of the world's famous blue zones, where people regularly live past 100 in extraordinary health and happiness, researchers discovered that almost no one has a word for retirement, because the concept barely exists. You don't stop doing what gives your life meaning. You simply keep going. That is the power we're talking about today. To understand Ikigai properly, we need to travel, not just to Japan, but back through time, back to the island of Okinawa, sometime in the early 20th century, where an old fisherman named Taro rises before sunrise every single morning. He is not a wealthy man by any Western definition. His house is modest, his boat is small, his meals are simple: miso, tofu, sweet potato, a little fish from the morning's catch. But ask Taro why he gets up at 4 in the morning, and he will not talk about money. He will not talk about productivity or hustle. He will say something like this: "The sea needs me, and I need the sea. The village eats because I fish. I fish because I love the sea. This is enough. This is everything." That simple declaration, "the sea needs me and I need the sea," contains all 4 pillars of Ikigai. And this is where I want you to stop for a moment and really listen, because most people who've heard of Ikigai have encountered a simplified version, a diagram with 4 overlapping circles, something you'd see on a LinkedIn post. The real Ikigai is far older, far deeper, and far more personal than any diagram can hold. The modern Western interpretation of Ikigai speaks of 4 questions. What do you love? What are you good at? What does the world need? What can you be paid for? And yes, where those 4 things overlap, that is often described as your Ikigai. But here is what gets lost in translation. Japanese philosopher Ken Mogi, one of the world's leading voices on this subject, insists we understand something important. Ikigai does not require grandeur. A grandmother who loves baking bread for her grandchildren has Ikigai. A man who tends his garden with quiet joy has Ikigai. The size of the thing does not determine its depth. This is the first, most important lesson. We have been culturally trained to believe that purpose must be capital P purpose. It must be a movement, a mission, a legacy that outlives us. We must change industries or inspire thousands or build something that gets written about. But the fisherman Taro never changed the world. He fed a village. He loved the sea. He had Ikigai. And he lived to 97, working his boat until his final years because every single morning had a reason.
Now, let's build the bridge, because I know what some of you are thinking. That's beautiful, but I'm not a Japanese fisherman. I'm a 53-year-old project manager in Cincinnati who hasn't felt genuinely excited about a Monday in 6 years. Fair. So let's talk about Jiro. You may know his name, Jiro Ono, the subject of the documentary Jiro Dreams of Sushi. For decades, this man ran a 10-seat restaurant in a Tokyo subway station, a restaurant that earned 3 Michelin stars, the highest honor in the culinary world. He woke up every morning at the same hour. He made the same journey to the same small kitchen. He prepared rice with the same precise movements he had practiced for more than 70 years. He did this until he was in his late 80s. When journalists asked him why not retire, why not relax, why not rest after all this achievement, Jiro said something that has stayed with me. Once you decide on your occupation, you must immerse yourself in your work. You have to fall in love with your work. Never complain about your job. You must dedicate your life to mastering your skill. That's the secret of success and is the key to being regarded honorably. Now, some people hear this and think that's obsession, that's unhealthy dedication. But they are missing something crucial. Jiro was not grinding. Jiro was not hustling. Jiro was not sacrificing his life on the altar of success. Jiro had found the rare, sacred intersection where what he loved, what he was gifted at, what the world deeply needed, and what sustained him all lived in the same place. He had Ikigai, and Ikigai does not feel like work. It feels like breathing. Here is something I want you to hold on to, and it may be the most important thing in this entire video. Midlife, the very stage that Western culture treats as a crisis, is, in the Japanese tradition, actually understood as a second flowering. There is a concept in Japanese aesthetics called Wabi-Sabi, the beauty of things that are imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete. The tea bowl that has been repaired with gold, the forest path worn smooth by 10,000 footsteps, the face that has been shaped by decades of living. In this worldview, you at 50 are not declining, you are deepening. You have done something that no 25-year-old has done. You have lived through enough failure, enough loss, enough change to know, really know, what doesn't matter. And that is extraordinarily valuable, because Ikigai requires that clarity. You cannot find your reason for being while you are still performing someone else's idea of what your life should look like. And here, many of you, right now in your 40s and 50s, you are finally, often painfully, done performing. The mortgage is manageable, the kids are older, the need to prove yourself to the world is fading. For the first time, perhaps in decades, you have space. Inner space. That space is not a crisis. That space is the ground from which Ikigai grows. There is one more dimension of Ikigai that rarely makes it into the Western summaries, and I think it may be the most overlooked secret of all. In Okinawa, Ikigai is not just a personal matter, it is a communal one. The Okinawans have a tradition called Moai, a group of lifelong friends who commit to supporting one another emotionally, socially, and sometimes financially from childhood until death. They share meals, they check on each other, they witness each other's lives. Researchers studying Okinawan longevity consistently point to the Moai as one of its most powerful contributors. Not the diet, not the exercise, the belonging. Because here is what the data quietly confirms and what the human heart has always known. Purpose that is shared lives longer than purpose that is solitary. When your Ikigai connects you to something larger than yourself, a community, a family, a craft that serves others, it becomes self-sustaining. It feeds itself. The fisherman, Taro, didn't just fish for joy, he fished for the village. Jiro didn't just make sushi for himself, he made it for the person sitting across the counter who would experience something transcendent. Your Ikigai, when it is fully alive, reaches outward. It touches something beyond your own satisfaction. And that is when it becomes not just a philosophy, but a way of being in the world.
Now, let's get practical, because philosophy without practice is just beautiful noise. Here are 4 steps drawn directly from the Ikigai tradition that you can begin today. Step 1. Conduct your small joys inventory. For the next 7 days, carry a small notebook or use your phone. Every time you notice a moment of genuine, quiet engagement, a moment where time seems to slow or disappear, write it down. Not the grand things, the small things. The moment you were explaining something to a younger colleague and felt completely alive. The hour in the garden when you forgot to check your phone. The afternoon you spent fixing something with your hands. These small moments are not random. They're clues. They are your inner self tapping on the glass. After 7 days, look at the list. The patterns will surprise you. Step 2. Ask the Okinawan question. The people of Okinawa have a simple self-inquiry practice. When they feel adrift, they ask themselves, what is it that I am here to give? Not what do I want, not what can I get, but what am I here to give? This single reorientation from receiving to contributing is one of the most powerful psychological pivots available to a human being, because meaning, unlike pleasure, is almost always found in giving, not getting. Sit with this question. Write your answer without editing. Let it be messy. Let it be uncertain. The uncertainty is part of the process. Step 3. Find your Moai. Identify 2 or 3 people in your life, or seek them out, with whom you can share your deeper search. Not people who will give you advice, people who will simply witness your journey and share their own. This might be a friend from decades ago, a spouse you need to have a different kind of conversation with, a community group, a men's circle, a book club that goes below the surface. Isolation is the enemy of Ikigai. Community is its soil. Step 4. Start ridiculously small. Whatever your Ikigai is whispering to you, start tonight, not next month, not when the conditions are perfect. Tonight. If it's writing, write 1 paragraph. If it's music, play 1 song. If it's service, make 1 call to 1 organization. If it's a craft, spend 20 minutes with your hands on the materials. Ikigai does not arrive in grand revelations. It arrives in practice, in showing up, in the quiet accumulation of small intentional acts done with full attention. The fisherman Taro did not wake up one morning and discover his purpose. He woke up 10,000 mornings and lived it, one tide at a time. There is a Japanese proverb I want to leave you with. Fall 7 times, stand 8. But I want to offer you a slightly different reading today. Fall 7 times, stand 8, and each time you stand up closer to what is true. That is the work of midlife, not the desperate sprint toward relevance, not the frantic reinvention, but the slow, patient, almost sacred excavation of what has always been true about you, buried beneath decades of expectation and obligation and noise. Your Ikigai is not lost. It is waiting. It has been waiting with extraordinary patience for you to grow quiet enough to hear it. And you, right now, at this exact moment in your life, you are finally ready. Here is the question I want you to sit with tonight.
If tomorrow morning you woke up and the only measure of a successful day was whether you had given something of yourself to something that matters, what would you do first? Write your answer in the comments below. I read every single one. And if this video found you at the right moment, share it with someone who needs it, because that, right there, is its own kind of Ikigai. I'll see you in the next one.